Have you ever noticed what happens the moment you stop explaining yourself? Not arguing, not defending, just stopping. The room changes, people lean in, some get uncomfortable, some get angry, and a few, the ones who were feeding on your explanations, start to panic. Because here's what nobody told you. Every time you justify yourself to someone who never intended to understand you, you hand them a piece of your power. And they know it. That's why they keep asking. Today, I want to show you why the strongest people you'll ever meet explain almost nothing, and how Carl Jung understood this over a century ago. Stay with me until the end, because the last point changes how you see every relationship in your life. From the time you were a child, you were trained to account for yourself. Why did you do that? Why are you late? Why are you quiet? Why did you say no? And so you learned a dangerous lesson, that your choices are only valid once someone else approves of them, that your no is incomplete until it comes with a paragraph of reasons. But look closely at your life. Who demands the most explanations from you? It's rarely the people who love you. The people who love you extend you trust. It's the people who want to manage you who demand constant justification, because every explanation you give is a doorway they can argue with, poke holes in, negotiate against. Carl Jung wrote that what we call the persona, the mask we wear for the world, is built exactly out of these moments. Every time you over-explain, you're not communicating, you're performing, you're saying, "Please keep approving of me," and the mask gets heavier every year. Here's the uncomfortable truth. An explanation given from fear is not honesty. It's a ransom payment, and people who collect ransoms always come back for more. Now, let's talk about the other side of the table. Have you ever wondered why certain people become visibly frustrated when you give a short answer? When you say, "No, that doesn't work for me," and nothing else? It's because your explanations were never information to them. They were leverage. When you explain, you reveal your pressure points. You show them exactly which guilt to press, which fear to trigger, which loyalty to invoke. A manipulator doesn't need to control you directly. They just need you to keep handing over the map of your inner world. Jung called this dynamic projection. People don't relate to who you are. They relate to the image of you they've constructed. And your endless justifications are the raw material they build that image from. But when you go quiet, when you become someone who acts without narrating, the projection has nothing to feed on. They can no longer predict you. They can no longer script you. And unpredictable people cannot be controlled. Think about the calmest, most grounded person you know. Notice something? They don't audition for anyone's approval. They state. They decide. They move. Their silence isn't emptiness. It's a boundary you can feel from across the room. Let me be very clear about something, because this is where people get it wrong. I am not telling you to become cold, cryptic, or cruel. Stonewalling the people who genuinely love you is not power. It's just another wound wearing a costume. The difference is who you're standing in front of. With people who have earned your trust, transparency is a gift. But with people who use your words as ammunition, silence is simply refusing to load their weapon. Jung believed that real maturity, what he called individuation, the process of becoming a whole and undivided self, requires you to withdraw your identity from other people's opinions. Not to hate them, not to punish them, but because you finally understand that you cannot become yourself while you're busy being everyone's defendant. So ask yourself honestly, how many hours of your life have you spent rehearsing explanations in the shower, replaying arguments at 2 a.m., drafting the perfect message that proves you were right? That's not communication. That's your vital energy leaking into people who are never going to change their minds anyway. The verdict was already written. You were just performing at your own trial. So, how do you actually live this? Not as a theory, as a daily practice. First, shrink your sentences. No is a complete sentence. That doesn't work for me is a complete sentence. Watch what happens when you stop attaching apologies to your boundaries. The right people accept them. The wrong people expose themselves. Second, pause before you defend. The next time you feel that hot, urgent need to justify yourself, wait, breathe. Ask, is this person confused or are they fishing? Confused people ask questions to understand. Fishing people ask questions to win. Only one of them deserves an answer. Third, let yourself be misunderstood. This is the hardest one. Someone out there will have a wrong opinion of you, and you will do nothing about it. You will let it exist, and you will discover, slowly, that their misunderstanding costs you nothing, but correcting it would have cost you everything. Fourth, notice who gets angry. When you stop explaining, pay attention to who becomes irritated. That irritation is a confession. It tells you exactly who was benefiting from your old habit of self-justification. These small acts compound. Within weeks, you'll feel it. A strange new stillness, like your energy finally stays inside your own body instead of scattering across everyone else's expectations. And now, the final truth. When you stop explaining yourself, you will lose people. Let's not pretend otherwise. Some relationships only existed because you kept paying for them. In justifications, in apologies, in constant emotional availability. But what you lose in quantity, you gain in something far rarer. Relationships where you are trusted without a defense, where your word is enough, where your silence is read as peace, not as a threat. Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who your family scripted, not who your critics demanded, not the endlessly explaining, endlessly available version of you that everyone found so convenient. You, unexplained, undefended, whole. So here's my question, and I want you to answer it in the comments. What is one thing you've decided you no longer owe anyone an explanation for? Write it down below. Say it out loud. Make it real. And if this message reached you at the right moment, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with one person who's still on trial in a courtroom they never had to enter. See you in the next video.